RandRPodcast. Today we are lucky to have been invited to a behind-the-scenes rehearsal of the upcoming show Becoming Her, featuring the bridge to artists. And we are joined by its founder, Vlad, who has been gracious to host us and answer a few questions. Welcome, Vlad.
Thank you for having us. It's been you can see my face. It's been such a beautiful experience watching your dancers behind the scenes. I'm such a big follower of my husband and I. We spend a lot of time watching So You Think You Can Dance and all these different shows. So just to be in front of it, it's so different than just watching it on TV. And I have to say it's pretty special what you have here.
Thank you so much.
So thanks for having us. So just wanted to open up, what was the discovery process like to create Bridge to Artists in the first place?
Well, from the years of experience of training kids, I realized that there's a big gap between competitive dancing and professional dancing. And I wanted to give kids an opportunity to be in an environment that shows them how to prepare for a professional show, not a dance competition. And there's a lot of little things that's involved in that. I think the main thing is during a company performance, the acting part and playing the role is so important. Mostly our shows are story-based shows, so you have to work with the character, you have to work with time, you have to work with the storyline, and a lot of competition kids, they have a trouble adjusting to that, because mostly it's a showcase of talent at the competition and the strength and technique, where when it comes to performances like we put on, you have to be all-around performer. So the idea came with when I was working with 𝐕𝐥𝐚𝐝 Dance Project, who the choreographer for that company is one of my idols. Her name is 𝐕𝐥𝐚𝐝. She asked me to choreograph a piece for her. It was a very emotional piece, and I kind of sneaked one of my youngest students into the piece without telling her, and I asked her permission to showcase the piece, and her reaction obviously was, she was very shocked, because it was not supposed to be any immature dances in the show, but when she saw the piece that I created, she was in tears. She was extremely emotional, and she told me that was one of the best things that I decided to put a kid into that number. And I think that's where idea of letting the kids to perform besides professional dancers, that's where the idea came. I love to see professional cast getting ready for their roles, rehearsing, prepare their bodies, prepare their minds, and I love watching my kids watching them. And I think that's one of the best things that happens during this whole process. So the idea came from me, from the 𝐕𝐥𝐚𝐝 Dance Project show, where I used one of my students in the piece. And she was young. I think she was 10 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, she was a 10-year-old kid.
And so this 10-year-old kid blew everyone away.
Oh, she's a phenomenal dancer. She graduated with me. Her name is 𝐕𝐥𝐚𝐝, and she finished Perch University in New York and currently working as a professional dancer.
Now?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so she's a fantastic dancer.
Do you still keep in touch with her?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
She's like my daughter. she calls me Papa V.
Papa V.
Papa V. Yeah.
How do kids become part of the Bridge to Artists? Is there an audition process, or do you scout talented dancers that you feel would benefit from the Bridge to Artists program, and is it invite? How is it?
Well, right now, this is a brand new company, so right now, because we're working with a very tight schedule, kids go to school and they have homework and stuff like that. So I have to make sure that I'm not interfering with other things of their lives. So right now, when kids get to a teen senior level at my dance studio, they automatically enrolled into Bridge to Artist company.
Okay.
However, we have some inquiries from other dance studios that other dancers would like to participate. We kind of working on it. We're trying to figure out how to make it
Logistics.
happen. Yeah, logistics. Right. It's not. It's pretty complicated when it comes to timing, because every dancer usually in a competitive program at other studios, and they have tight schedule as well. So sometimes it does not
jive.
No, yeah. So right now we mainly use our teen and senior company dancers, and we usually hire professional dancers depending on the show. We've had as many as 12, and we had minimum 4 before. So it depends on the show. Depends what I need for casting.
Awesome. And since the beginning of Bridge to Artists, what has been your greatest learning experience? Like, it's been, I think, 4 years now, or 5 years?
Learning experience. I think I've discovered the connection with audience that I never had before as a performer. As a choreographer, I found a way to move people and make them feel extremely emotional. There were certain performances where we couldn't get the silence because you could hear people cry in the audience. There were certain performances where we made people laugh.
Right.
And they couldn't stop laughing. So it depended on what show I'm doing. And I think that connection is the most incredible discovery for me.
I'm going to connect something that some of the kids said. It was around, and you said it again, which is the whole concept of storytelling through dance.
Yes.
How do you feel through Bridge to Artists or through your company you achieve that storytelling?
Well, obviously, putting a 2-hour show, it gives me a chance to tell the story in full. As a matter of fact, like the show that I'm choreographing right now, Becoming Her, at first it was a competition, a group that I tried, and I felt that it was not complete. I wasn't satisfied with the final product.
Right.
And for me to be able to tell the whole story, that's where Bridge to Artists comes in, and it allows me to, unveil everything in the story that I'm trying to unveil. So,
what can you tell us about Becoming Her? The story.
Well, I watched the movie Danish Girl, and I mean, it was a brilliant performance on that movie. I never was emotional about that subject before, and when I saw the movie, it hit me. It hit me.
Very touching.
So
Yeah,
that
very,
movie
very touching.
inspired this
Yeah.
show?
It inspired me, but I'm not sticking to the movie in my storyline. This show is more about finding who you are
Yes.
and becoming who you really are. So it's not like you cannot take a movie and put it on the
Right.
stage.
No.
It's almost impossible,
Agreed.
especially when it's a brilliant movie like that.
Right.
But that's where the inspiration came from, and I did a couple tweaks in the show because there's certain things that you cannot do on stage as you can do with camera in movies. So but basically the main thing is it's a story about a man who lost his life trying to become who he really was.
I cannot wait to watch it.
I mean, just from the small scenes that we
set.
were able to experience during the rehearsal, definitely they were able to emote like a lot of the growing out, stepping out, and the pain and the fear and right away that it was clear, and it really spoke out with the choreography, with their dedication and their resolve, and of course you had your pointers that you could that would help them emote even more, and definitely you could see how receptive they are to your instruction and how quickly they assimilate it.
Yeah.
Right, like you have an incredible group of students.
Oh, I love them. That's one of the best things is to work with them, because I feel that I don't even have to speak sometimes. They understand what I need and what I want, and they're very open-minded. And it's at that age, it's especially these days, it's pretty incredible.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things that when we were quick answering with the students one individually, one of their answers were they're not babied. They have to grow up really fast and learn how to adapt quickly, and it's helped them not only here but in other areas of their life, right? And their schooling and just being who they are, and yeah, it's very apparent, definitely.
Well, that's also a chance for them to put their work in front of total strangers.
Right.
Because when they compete, mostly people that cheer for them, their parents. This is the chance for them to be completely
vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly. That's the
that's
probably the right thing to say, and see how people are going to react to the work. And it's not easy for kids to be put in that situation.
Right.
So, and that's why I like working with my kids, because I think they do an amazing job doing it.
Like, can you tell us a little bit of like your background story, like where you came from, like just tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, I was born in Russia. I trained as a professional ballet dancer in Russian school. At the age of 15, I discovered jazz, which was basically forbidden in the old Soviet Union times. I discovered jazz. I switched the genres, and I started working mostly on modern and jazz dancing. I became part of one of the companies that was coming to Canada with a show, and I took the opportunity to stay here and build a new life for myself, and have a chance to express myself the way I wanted. Because in old days in the Soviet Union, there was a lot of restrictions.
Okay.
Yeah, like to even point,
Can't
like
imagine.
my like everybody knows me as Vlad, and I don't wanna like there's no last name attached to, and I don't wanna sound like Madonna or Cher, but the reason why is my last name is not really my last name. My real last name is Vasilyev, and that was my father. Unfortunately, he was in prison, and by old regime in Soviet Union, if a member of your family was in prison, you were not allowed to travel out of the country.
Wow.
So we had to do what we had to do to be able to travel as performers. So I let my stepfather legally adopt me, so I can change my last name, and then I was able to travel as a performer. So there's a lot of things behind my name and stuff. Like even like when I came to Canada, for some reason they've changed my name to Vladimir instead of
Vlad.
instead of Vladislav. Well, Vlad is short for Vladislav.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And they put me as Vladimir. I don't know why they did it, but I didn't have much choice at that time.
Oh, okay.
Because we were just dancers that with no power.
Right.
You know, so.
As long as you let me dance.
Yeah.
Call me whatever.
Yeah. Well, I was coming to Canada, and I was very excited about it. And I said, I'll come with call me whatever you want to call me.
Right.
Call me Alex. I'll be Alex.
As long as you
Yeah,
can
as
come.
long as I get to come here. Yeah, because I pretty much knew that I was gonna stay.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew that I was gonna build a life here in Canada.
So you come from Russia, you come to Canada. When did the whole I want to be a dance teacher? Like, did you start off as a dancer?
Well, the funny thing is, I was creative since very early age when it comes to choreography. I was always curious about choreographing stuff. And to be honest with you, being on the stage was not my thing. I loved the process of developing and making something in the class, in the front of the mirror, when you're experimenting and you are looking for something, for new ways of movement or expressing yourself. But as soon as that process was finished, I was not very interested in taking it on the stage. So the spotlight was never my thing.
Okay.
I always loved being in the studio and just creating.
Right.
Even when it was somebody else was creating on me, that was my favorite thing, the time where it's been created. So that's probably when I discovered that I'm more of a choreographer than a dancer. Yeah, and like I guess that was my goal in life, to teach and choreograph.
And like, what type of challenges have you encountered? Whether it's like starting a business, like what's been your greatest challenge with Bridge to Artists or with your own company once you established it?
I think the biggest challenge, the art is not as supported in Canada as like in Europe.
Tell me a little bit more about that, because that's interesting.
It's very hard to get any kind of a support for companies. So the biggest struggle is to be able to pay performers. That's where I completely give up my rights to the company and turn it into non-profit, because it was never for me about money making.
Right.
It was just for me to be able to express myself as an artist. I ask certain individuals who were interested in helping me out to become board members, and that's how this whole thing developed. So luckily, now that I have a wonderful board of directors, they allow me to do what I love to do, which is be in that studio and scream and yell, and they try to take care of the rest of the stuff,
Right.
which is perfect. You know, that's a good combination. But yeah, I think fundings is one of the biggest challenges for any company in Canada. To be able to hire dancers that you can, pay decent money to perform.
To make a living.
Yeah, to make
Right.
a living. Like they all need to make a living. They all have rents and payments and mortgages and car payments that they have to. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge, but the board's been doing a very good job trying to raise money and us being able to hire professional dancers and pay them.
How would you say the exposure of a dancer in Canada to become a professional dancer, whether that means traveling, whether that's abroad or in other countries, do they get the same exposure as they would, say, in another country, like say the U.S. or say in Europe, because of the situation that in Canada where the arts in general have trouble getting any kind of funding, and do you feel like, since, let's say, to be honest, my experience with contemporary dance really grew when the TV shows came on, Dancing with the Stars, So You Think You Can Dance, and at which probably a lot of people kind of fell in love with that world, and these dancers became celebrities in pop culture celebrities. And do you think that since then, Canadian dancers, they've gotten a lot more exposure, or they've a lot more opportunities have opened up since, like, say, the dawn of the reality TV shows?
I think it helped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it helped a lot, and we Canada has produced so many amazing dancers.
Yes.
If you look at a lot of companies, even in the States and like in the movie industry or commercial industry or even companies, there's a lot of Canadian dancers. Unfortunately, we'll lose the talent to States.
Mm-hmm.
And it's natural. I mean, there's more opportunities in States than in Canada.
Right.
And that was another thing that when I thought of opening Bridge to Artists, I wanted to bring something else that we can give jobs to Canadian dancers that normally will lose to States.
Right.
It is harder for Canadian dancers.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard. I mean, when they travel to Europe, it's kind of like equally challenging for both Americans and Canadians. But for Canadians to be in States, that's a big challenge. So, yeah, but I mean, like you mentioned that you watched So You Think You Can Dance. Do you watch the Canadian one?
I did when it's no longer on, right?
No.
It
So
lasted a couple
I actually
seasons.
went to the live shows
Oh,
in
really?
person.
Oh,
We were
did?
live. Me and my husband were like, oh my god.
So
Yeah.
were
we
you
actually
there in
went.
the last show when the last performance, Jordan Clark won?
So we did. It wasn't that season. It was the one right before.
Oh.
But we actually went because, like, I mean, we're such big fans, and they filmed some of it here. So the minute it opened up, we were like the first in line.
So you were aware that Jordan Clark was my student, right?
Oh, really?
She's the one that won the last So You Think.
That's
She's the only
crazy.
dancer from Toronto area that won So You Think You Can Dance.
Shout out
Good
to
job.
Jordan
I know,
Clark.
right?
Yes.
All right.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. See, like the smile on your face. Like that's the intent. Like that was your goal from the beginning, right?
You put a lot of
Help
heart
them
in those
out.
kids. A lot of heart, and you see them more often than their parents see them.
Oh, I
So
agree.
they become family. Yeah.
Does it take to become that level of dancer? How much of a commitment and sacrifice does it take? Like you just talked about, you see these kids more than they see their own families, and what does it take to become that special type of performer?
But you need huge commitment, and you need support of your parents, obviously. So without parents, it's impossible, because still all the training that we do here, it's based in private business. So there's fees involved in everything. So if the parents don't support their kids, so they have no chance. But the sacrifice, they do make a lot of sacrifice. They have less free time to do what normal teenagers do. So it's hard for them because they face their friends in school, and those friends have parties and fun things that they go to, and my kids say, no, I have to go to dance. So
but it's like any sport.
Yeah.
Like anything.
And I know it
Yeah.
sounds like silly for us, for adults, but for
Yeah.
kids, those are
Right, it's
important
their
things.
leisure, right?
It's their
their leisure,
life. Like
yeah.
getting together with their friends,
Right.
that's a
It
big
is.
part of their life. And kids who come and train as dancers, they have to sacrifice that. They have no choice. Because to become good, you need to put a big chunk of your time
So
into training.
other than sacrificing time, what other advice would you give someone who's a fresh dancer now?
Well, it's a combination of hard work and talent. I mean, obviously, the good dancers that you produce, they have natural talent.
Right.
But there's a lot of kids have natural talent, but without putting a lot of hard work into it, that talent is just wasted. So the advice is simple: just work hard.
Yeah.
Hard work is gonna get you there, and that doesn't matter how much talent you have. Without hard work, it's not gonna take you anywhere.
That's really good advice.
I've seen a lot of talent being wasted over
Yeah,
the years.
You make a really, really good point.
Yeah. So.
Because if you don't flex those muscles or you
No.
don't, if you don't put the work in.
Well, it's
Sweat
also
equity.
pain. It's not just training as a dancer. It's a painful process because you make your body do things that naturally we can't do, and it comes with everything. It's building muscles and stretching and being flexible and being fierce, like doing tricks that normal people would never dare do. So all those things are, hard.
We were watching the rehearsal. I saw. I think it was Tyler. He was flexing his foot backwards, and just getting out of this chair, you'll hear like 3 or 4 cracks from my knees, my back.
Yeah.
Like I can't even imagine being that flexible. It's incredible.
Well, one thing that I know that as I train as a dancer as well, one thing that we have is high tolerance to pain. And when I say pain, it's a good pain. It's not a bad pain.
Sure.
We're not injuring the kids.
Right,
We're,
no.
we make them more strong and flexible. So
Agreed.
just like if you go and train with a personal trainer, it's painful.
Right.
Exactly.
But the results are good. So
In your opinion, is dance a sport?
I think it's harder than sport. And the reason why I say that is because you basically have to perform very hard, difficult, physical things. The difference is you have to make it look a certain way in dance.
Graceful and everything
Where
else.
in sports, it doesn't matter. It's just a result.
Results.
It doesn't matter whether you score a goal gracefully or not, as long as you score a goal. When in dance, if you can dance like a robot and if you don't make audience feel certain way, it's not good performance. So I think dance is much harder.
All right. So ballroom dancing in the Olympics? No? Yeah.
I don't have an opinion about that.
It is cool.
It's
Not,
to me it was always like I was asked to judge before competitions and I refused because I don't know how to judge art.
Thank you for your time. The last thing that we always ask everybody that's on the show is, please describe what's coming up for you. You mentioned Becoming Her. Please give the details for the show. And what is the last thing that you have been inspired by?
What's the last thing that you inspired?
Could be anything.
Anything. Wow. You got me there.
We get that a lot. I mean, it's a very introspective
It could have
question
been a movie,
that
a song.
just people to actually think about it.
Yeah.
It's a journey in itself.
Yeah, the creative process.
Creative process. I think Oh, you got me there.
Yeah, could have been a TV show or a performance you had seen or a song you heard or a flower that you passed by or a sunset. Things. Hey, this is a beautiful thing, a beautiful moment. It gives me life.
I'm an animal lover, and I watch all these little clips on Facebook about rescuing dogs. And
Oh my
stuff.
God.
I think it inspires me.
Hey.
It inspires me to be a better person. I know it sounds.
No, it
So
doesn't.
that-
So many people love their pets,
of
animals.
course.
My daughter's such a pet lover.
I just love watching those clips when those dogs just become totally different when they receive love from people.
Right.
Like you take the most aggressive and wild dog out there and show him some or her some love, and the dog changes so much.
Yeah.
And I think that affects me a lot. I don't know why.
That's really
20% of my
Yeah.
day is reserved to watching dog videos. I totally identify
Yeah.
with what you're saying.
My girlfriend always laughs at me. Oh, here you go with your puppy shows.
It's all good.
Oh, and please give the details for
About
Becoming Her.
Yes, so we have 2 performances on January 11th, and it's at York University. First show is at 2 p.m. and second show is at 7 p.m. So, yeah.
Great.
And
Tickets.
where can they get? Yeah.
Where can we get
Oh,
tickets?
I think tickets. I think it's on the bridge2artist.com.
On their website.
Yeah,
Okay.
bridge2artist.com. So, like, if you go there, there's a link to purchase tickets.
Great. All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for your time. Today was very insightful and very touching.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
All right. That's a wrap.